Anthony Tartaglia is a Melbourne-based artist creating vibrant, urban-inspired pieces that celebrate Greek culture, history, and mythology. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Thank you so much for taking out the time to do this with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you. So you are a construction worker by day, an artist by night. How
Yep.
did you get this second career started?
So I've always had a bit of a talent for art, and I've just sort of done painting myself, done some painting around the house, and people have been telling me for years, you should do something with this, you should take this a bit further. And I just always, I don't have time, I don't have time. And then probably just over a year ago, I thought, well, my wife suggested maybe start putting some stuff on social media, which I did. And it just sort of took off from there.
Awesome. And your art, which ranges from paintings to statues, fuses
Yep.
Greek mythology and contemporary street style. Tell us
Yep.
more about your approach in bringing these two worlds together.
Okay, so well, I've always had a passion for my Greek heritage and Greek background, and being from the city of Melbourne, Melbourne has a very big Greek influence and a very big street art influence. There's street art all over the city, everywhere. So I've sort of adopted the two, trying to make them both, like tried to show my love of Greek history and Greek heritage, and then mixed it with my hometown of Melbourne. And yeah,
No, and your
yeah,
your pieces are so vibrant as well. Can you just tell me a little bit more about how you kind of work with your clients to create something unique?
just painting with color actually really like makes it more enjoyable, I think. And the colors add to, when you think Greek art, you think like, statues, white, dark sort of color. So I sort of wanted to add the two, which I think just gives it two sort of contrast, which makes it a bit more exciting, like makes it a bit more exciting to the eye and whatnot. So yeah.
And a piece of your work that we'd love to talk about is Alone. I know that you created it in response to the calls to bring the Parthenon sculptures back to Greece.
Yeah.
But tell us more about this piece.
Okay. So um, last year I was actually contacted by the Australian Parthenon Association, which I never ever knew existed until recently. They're a association dedicated to bringing back the stolen statues from Greece and the marbles from Greece. They contacted me just telling me how much they loved my art and wanted to work with me. And I was excited to work with them. So I just sort of decided myself, I'd like to paint something dedicated to that. It just really inspired me. So I painted that, and in response to that, and hoping that it was could create a bit of noise, create a bit of awareness to people to actually bring them back, which it did sort of create a little bit, because after that I was in a couple of newspapers, and yeah, hopefully like it goes a bit further.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think I read somewhere it took you 30 hours to complete.
Yeah, just over 30 hours, and a lot of that was at night, because I've got two young kids. I have to wait for them to go to bed, and
So do you
yeah.
think of exactly like the colors you're going to use or the design you want to incorporate on either your paintings or statues from before? Like what's your creative process like?
To be honest, I sort of have an idea before I start. I think, okay, maybe I'll use this color, and then as I'm doing it, I sort of just build it as I'm going. I sort of make it up half as I'm going. If something inspires me, if a color inspires me, if a word inspires me, I try and incorporate that into the painting. I try and, like, if I do a lot of graffiti words and stuff like that, but they're all related to what the piece is. Um, so yeah, so that's how I get inspired.
So, Anthony, you started all of this in 2021, and your art has received such great attention, but also so much appreciation around the world as well. What has been the best part of this journey so far?
Um, I think the best part will probably be everyone's appreciation, like to know that people want to not only want to buy, but just want to have something of mine that I've created out of my mind in their house, or they want to have it around them, or just, yeah. So that's really inspiring to me. Um, yeah, that's probably the best part. The love and the comments that I've been getting about my work. something that I've just created out of my own head.
What do you think has been your favorite piece so far? Because you do statues as well, right? You bring them in from Greece and everything.
Yeah. That was an idea I had after I painted my first painting, the Nikki. I thought maybe what if I painted the same colors but did an actual statue of it. And then that sort of took off a little bit. But I think my favorite piece would have to be the Nikki, because that was my first one. And that was sort of my experiment. Like, I was experimenting with spray paint, never used spray paint before. And yeah, that was my first one, and that one received a lot of attention, and yeah, I think it's still my favorite.
And what's been the greatest lesson in your entrepreneurship that you've learned since starting your business?
How to manage, like, time management, and
Yeah.
how to manage relationships with people, because it's me being in construction. I don't deal with people. I work on building sites, and I clock on and clock off. I don't really need to, work out things on my own. So that's probably.
And what's your dream project, or what's like the next big thing that you want to work on?
I've got a few things I would like to do. So I want to try and touch on all aspects of Greek culture. Like, I've a lot of my stuff's been on mythology in ancient Greece. I've done a recent piece on Kolokotroni, so modern Greek history. I'd like to touch on some Byzantine history and some other stuff there. So I've got some ideas coming up to work on that. My favorite statue of all time is the Perseus statue holding the Medusa head. So that's probably my big one that I'm really going to try and make my best one. I haven't thought of exactly how I'm going to do it yet, so I'm leaving that until I get the perfect idea. So that's probably my dream one so far.
No, that's great. And I think what's so great about your work as well, and we have these conversations with so many people around the world too, is just bringing in your love for Greek culture and history, and making something that is really personal to you, right? And in this case, it's art. So what does it mean for you to kind of share that love for Greece through something that is kind of new for you too, in terms of sharing it with the world?
Oh, honestly, it means the world, because like I said, I've always been very passionate about Greek culture, my Greek culture. Melbourne, like I said, Melbourne has got a big Greek culture. Like, we have festivals all the time, and even as a kid and as a teenager, like, I used to go to these things and wanted to be involved in some way. But I was like, I don't do dancing, I don't play music, I don't. How can I be involved in this? And now I've like found a way. So now it's like it's really rewarding to be a part of that.
Yeah, and there's something so special about being, a Greek of the diaspora too, and staying connected to Greece in that way.
Yeah.
Would you ever bring your art to Greece?
No, that would be the ultimate dream. I would love to have anything of mine displayed in Greece. Yeah, that would be the ultimate. That would mean everything.
Well, Anthony, it's been so great talking to you. Thank you so much for taking out the time to be on the show.
You too. Thank you so much for having me. Like, yeah, all the way from Canada. Thank you so much. It's
Thank you. And to keep up with Anthony's work, be sure to follow him on Instagram.